up, my lovely Natsukis? It's your bestie Summer, and a few minutes ago, I was having the worst cramps of my life. I know, what a way to start the video, am I right? But I'm fine now. My father, literally right as he got home, ran to the store. Not literally, he drove, but he went to the store and he got me painkillers because we were out. And so now I'm almost fine now. The painkillers are starting to work finally. It's only taken 20 minutes to do so. Thank you, cramps. Ugh, I hate so much. But, we're living our best lives. We're not dying on the inside. But no, but we're gonna be doing a one-shot today because I am really busy this week. I'm starting a D&D campaign with my father and a few of our friends because why not? Because D&D is amazing. Well, we aren't starting the campaign. I'm making a character with him and one of our friends. It's gonna be so fun. We're gonna enjoy it so much. But anyways, you guys are gonna enjoy this fic so much because I loved it. I thought it was so funny, cause in this, Danny's like a fae. I loved it. I was giggling the whole way, just haha, you guys don't know, haha, it's right under your noses. But at the same time, it's so sweet and wholesome because it just is. You'll figure it out. It's just a sweet, wholesome little one shot about Danny and the family and the Bat Clan. It's so sweet, it's so wholesome, it's so fun, so amazing. But anyway, this is the one shot entitled Danny. Wait, who's Danny? A DP XDC podfic written by Corkinavoid, read by Summer Audio. Enjoy! Danny was a delight, if he's being honest. He was just the right amount of snarky, polite, and determined mixed together. He liked waffles and cereal and salads and didn't like toast and roasted chicken. He rambled about space and engineering occasionally, and overall he was really, really nice person to have around. He was also a good adoption to the family. Bruce was happy he finally got a son who did not, for once, want to be a vigilante. Dick enjoyed the fact that Danny was never against any cuddles and affection. Damian seemed to respect his twin, something he didn't even do for Bruce. Well, at least not on a regular basis. Duke liked the way Danny never insisted on hanging out together. The boys seemed to have very strong opinions on personal boundaries. Steph, of course, was glad to have a partner in prank crimes, and Cass appreciated how he could understand her even without words or even signs. Even Jason, as little as they've met, didn't mind Danny being in the family. Not that he should. Actually, for all Tim knows, neither one or the other have done anything to somehow offend each other. Babs didn't really have an opinion on Danny, for their interactions were sparse, but she was also okay with him. Selena was okay with him. Maybe Tim was just going insane. It's either him or the whole wide world, which would not be the first time everyone was wrong when he was right. Actually, but that doesn't make him feel any better. Now, don't take this the wrong way. He liked Danny as much as everyone else. The boy was a fellow insomniac with a great liking for sarcastic remarks, and his invisibility and density shifting were great superpowers when Tim was craving coffee in an ungodly hour and didn't want to attract anyone's attention to the fact that he is still, or already, depending on how you look at it, awake. But there was a problem. Tim could not, for the love of him, remember how Danny came to be in the family. Good night, everyone. Oracle out now. The calm line erupted with noise as all the bats and birds present wished her the same at once, and Barbara smiled, leaning back in her chair, stretching her arms. The patrol time was over for today, and everyone was fine. A fairly calm night in Gotham, with no serious incidents or big rogue attacks, save for the Penguins' goons attempting to rob a bank, that is. But that had been handled, and the city could safely sleep at last. Barbara chuckled and gave herself a pat on the head. Good job, Oracle. Of course, tomorrow will come a new day, and who knows what kind of things could be cooking up in the minds of rogues and the likes of them right at this moment. But for now, the city was calm, peaceful even, as peaceful as Gotham gets. Barbara looked back on her computer screen and debated if she should maybe work some more. There was that case with the stolen antique necklace, or the one with a knock came from one of the windows, and Barbara turned her head in the direction of the sound. Or, well, there is Red Robin on her windowsill. Seems like she will be working a little more anyway. Come in, she gestured to the masked figure after turning off her comm. Whatever brought Tim here is probably going to be something he did not want anyone to overhear, otherwise he would have warned her of the visit. Tim opened the window and jumped in quietly, his posture tense and his movements a little fanatic. Either he has a new conspiracy theory on his hands, or he did not sleep for a few nights in a row. Barbara would put her bet on the latter, though with Danny in the manor, it became a lot easier for him to sneak into the Batcave at night. So what brings you here? She asked, turning her wheelchair to face Tim. He hesitated for a second before taking off his mask and looking Barbara in the eyes. Tim rubbed his face. He looks worried and a little frustrated, which is not very promising, but Barbara knows better than to rush him. He is already here. That means he came to share with her whatever he had found or encountered, which is already a great accomplishment in their line of work, especially considering the bats' lack of communication skills. Tim takes a deep breath, and Barbara steels herself internally. What do you think about Danny? Okay, she was not expecting this kind of question. Alas, it seems important, so even if Barbara has no idea where it came from, she put some serious thought into the answer. He's nice. I haven't really talked to him that much, but from what I know, he fits in the family great. It's a little weird to see someone with Damian's face and smiling, but I'm glad he is. Smiling, I mean. And I'm also glad he did not want to join in all of the nightly escapades. As much as I love all of you, a new batter bird takes a lot of time and effort to get used to. Tim nods, like he's been expecting that answer, and then his face becomes even more serious and focused than before. Alright, and what do you know about him? There was a noticeable weight to that question. Barbara frowns. What do you mean? What do I know? She pauses in the middle of the sentence as the realization dawns on her. Sure, he is a rather new member of the Bat Clan, but there has to be something. All she can remember about the boy is that he is Daniel Al Ghul, Damian's twin brother, and that he is maybe a metahuman? Maybe. That is not a word she should be using when referring to a family member. A bat family member. And even putting that aside, she can't remember anything else. Not his age or allergies or any kind of medical information. Not his relation to the League of Shadows, and there has to be one since he is Damian's brother. Not his background. Surely she must have done some kind of background check when he first appeared, right? But when did he first appear? I don't remember how he came here. Tim's hacked whisper interrupted her thoughts. I don't remember Damian ever mentioning a brother, never mind a twin. Besides, how many times have we dealt with cloning? Do you think if a person identical to Damian randomly appeared on the doorstep, we would just welcome them with open arms? Even if we, by some miracle, did, then wouldn't we at least run some tests, compare DNA samples, check their powers, interrogate them at the very least? Barbara feels a cold shiver run down her spine. She looks him in the eyes and sees the panic seeping through the edges of his forcefully calm posture, a reflection of her own horror on his face. How did Danny get into the manor? And what's even more important, who or what even is Danny? Barbara closes her eyes and takes a few deep and controlled breaths before opening them again and turning back to her computer. Panic is not going to help them. Danny, whoever he really is, had spent at least a few weeks with the Waynes by this point, and as far as she can tell, he hadn't done anything harmful aside from some pranks. She tried not to think about the possibility of him actually doing something and altering all of their memories afterwards, as he seems to have the ability to do so. Okay, I need you to tell me everything you know about him as of now, starting from when was the first time you remember him appearing? There was a lot of things off with Danny by Duke's measures. Like how the boy seemed like he was almost always ready to fight for his food, or maybe fight the food itself. Duke noticed it several times, especially that one dinner when Alfred prepared a whole duck stuffed with pears. He thinks they were pears. He's not too sure. He's not great at cooking, okay? Danny eyed the roasted bird like it was about to come alive and attack him, and Duke has seen him clench a fork in his hand with a little too much force. At least the utensil had not been harmed. Alfred would have been very disappointed. Or another thing, Danny didn't like to be noticed too much. That is not to say he avoided anyone or didn't enjoy spending time with them. No, the boy was really fun to talk to. He traded puns with Dick and listened attentively to all the gossip Steph dumped on him. He was never one to refuse an invitation to a video game competition or a movie night, but he rarely initiated conversation on his own and tended to spend his time in the library or in the backyard. It should really be called a park rather than backyard, just because of the sheer size of it. Duke is getting sidetracked. On a related note, Wayne Animal Collection didn't like Danny for the most part. Bat Cow tried to kick him, and Titus avoided Danny every time he saw him. But Alfred the cat, on the other hand, took one look at Danny and claimed him as her own. Funny enough, she was the exact opposite with every other member of the family. Duke himself had a better relationship with every animal other than Alfred the cat. And speaking of relationships, Despite Danny being on good terms with literally everyone, and wasn't that kind of weird, considering they are very much not a normal family by any standards, he rarely spent time with Damian, who was his twin. And while, sure, Duke could guess growing up together in the league could not be a very fruitful environment for sibling bonding, but Damian seemed more than okay with his brother. Hell, he was more stabby with Bruce than he was with Danny, and that fact is speaking for itself. The more important part, though, Danny glitched. Duke knew it was his meta powers that allowed him to see it, for everyone else in the family never brought up the fact, and he could probably write it off as a side effect of Danny's own metahuman abilities. But the glimpses of what Duke could see under all the glitching were not human. Pointy ears, teeth sharper than needles. One time, Duke had seen the boy's skin turn pale with a bluish tint to it. Another time, his hair was snow white, and on one occasion, Duke has seen his eyes, his scleras and irises black like the void of space, and his pupils green and vertical like cats. The illusion, the glitch, was gone in a blink of an eye, but Duke is not one to think he is just seeing things. He's a vigilante, for God's sake. And even that could have been okay. Duke has seen his fair share of creepy shit in his life. Even before he became Signal, if it wasn't for the crown, this particular glitch, he has seen not once or twice. It was a regular vision, and the crown was always the same, which is what made Duke believe it's not just a glitch. It was also very unearthly, made of what looked like aura borealis, given a solid form. It floated a few inches over Danny's head. Sometimes, Duke has seen it lit with green fire, but there was no heat and nothing was burning, so the flames must not be real fire. Now, did he really want to ask Danny about it, given the fact that his new brother could very much not be human? Hell no. Besides, as he had said before, Danny was really fun to talk to, and he didn't try to force Duke into the sibling bonding, unlike everyone else. So, all in all, he was okay. Probably. The new brother was not okay. Cass knew he didn't belong here with them. He was not part of the family. She knew it right from the beginning, when she had first seen the boy take a seat at the table at breakfast about a month ago. Her mind told her that this boy was one of them, little brother's twin. Everyone else seemed to believe that. Cass also believed it, just for a moment, before she had seen the boy move. Unsure, wary, scared. Not of them, but their reactions. The boy, who looked so much like Damian, feared resentment and rejection, not being found out. Yet there was no danger coming from him, no ill intentions. He just wanted to be here, with them, eating pancakes and talking about stars, laughing with Dick and annoying Bruce. Damian also seemed to know him, not like everyone else, who were clearly under some kind of charm or memory altercation. That made them believe Danny was always a part of their family. The littlest bat was familiar with him, and he treated Daniel as he was really his brother, albeit a long-lost one. He also expressed no surprise upon seeing Danny at the table, So Cass figured he knew of whatever his twin had done to make sure a place for him was at this table. Cass may not know Danny, but she knows Damian. Her youngest brother would never have done anything to put his family in danger, despite him being feral and violent from time to time. So she was okay with Danny being here. If you look at it from a different perspective, he just skipped a few steps in the process. Cass knows her family very well. They would have accepted a new brother sooner or later anyway. What bothered her about Danny was a very different kind of problem. The boy was lost, anxious, nervous. He may have made everyone believe he belonged here, but he did not believe that himself. He craved the warmth of the family, and at the same time, he was scared they will kick him out the moment they find out he is not one of them. It was like he was living on borrowed time. Cass didn't like that. Danny was her brother. She had decided he is, just like Tim and Duke and Damian and everyone else. She wanted to tell the boy he was safe and welcomed no matter how or why he came here, but that would require her to tell him she knew he was not one of them, which would most likely spook the boy and make him run away. Cass was not sure they would be able to find him afterwards, knowing of the boy's powers. So she kept her status quo and just made sure Danny could enjoy his family experience for now, and she hoped that one day he would feel safe enough to tell them the truth. She really wanted to be his sister, not in the mind-altering way. Jason didn't understand shit about what was going on in the manor, and he was thoroughly pissed about it. One day, he comes to the house with the intention of raiding both the kitchen — he missed Alfred's cooking, what of it — and the cave. He ran out of explosives, and what's the point of making your own if you can just take Batsy's ones? It's not like they use them a lot. And what does he find? Another fucking kid. Demon Spawn's twin, at that. And before he could even voice his obvious displeasure about it, the kid just looked at him and the pit goes quiet. Not calm, not muted, not forcefully shoved to the back of his mind. No, it's like it has never even been there. The level of what the fuck increases exponentially. Jason is not proud of it, but he admits he ran away after that encounter. Did he want answers? Yeah, sure. Was he about to ask for any explanation from either the kid or worse, Bruce? Not a chance. He very much does not want to deal with whatever fuckery had happened for a variety of reasons. First one being he does not want to even start a conversation with B, for it will undoubtedly end with another fight, and he has had enough of those for today. Thank you very much. Another reason is that he does not expect anything even remotely okayish from the demon child's twin. For all that he knows, he would just be as insufferable as the little brat. Fuck that. He does not have time or energy to deal with not one, but two stabby kids. But then, a few days later, when the pits are giving him a time of his life once again, he can't help but think back to that kid. What was his name? Daniel? Maybe if he just sneaks into the manor and into the kid's room for a moment, it would be fine. The new kid did not take the mantle of Robin, or any other name for that matter. He hadn't seen a new bat on the streets, so that must mean the kid prefers to spend his nights sleeping and not jumping around the roofs of Gotham. And the last time they met, they hadn't even talked. Jason just stumbled upon the kid in the library. So it's safe to guess his mere presence quiets the pit, right? He may have not taken into account the fact that Damian's twin, obviously, was also born and raised in the League of Assassins. Of course, he wakes up as soon as Jason slightly opens the window to his room. Although he doesn't reach for a weapon, that just happened to be hidden somewhere around. The kid just stares at him, and Jason feels the hair on the back of his neck stand. The kid's eyes are glowing just slightly. He would have written it off as a reflection of moonlight from the window, but they're in Gotham. No one has seen the moon here for months. Jason freezes in place, staring back at the kid, and for a long moment, none of them move. Then the kid blinks. The weird glow to his eyes disappears. "Hey," he greets, his voice groggy, and rubs his eyes with the back of his hand. "You do know this room has a door, right?" Jason can't help but snort. All right, maybe his assumptions about Damian's twin being just like Damian himself were wrong. "I was aiming for a dramatic entrance," he throws back, and the kid quietly chuckles. "Nothing is more dramatic than a vigilante actually using the door, you know. You guys are always coming through the windows, or even by breaking walls. At this point, no one expects you to use the door," he explains, and okay, he does have a point with that. Jason's got to use this knowledge next time he decides to come somewhere unannounced. The kid throws his blankets to the side. Wow, are his PJs the Wonder Woman's official merch? And puts his feet on the ground. "Anyways, to what do I owe the pleasure? Can't I just pay a visit of politeness to a new family member?" Jason shrugs as he finally jumps down from the windowsill and into the room, looking around. Strangely enough, the room doesn't look very personal, more like a guest room, with only the necessary things and some mild decorations made just for the overall aesthetic. Weird. The kid must have been in the manor for at least a few weeks. Did he not have any hobbies or preferences? It kind of makes sense if he was raised in the League, but even Damian had things he liked when he first appeared in the manor. "In the middle of the night, while I'm sleeping," deadpans the kid. Jason doesn't answer that, and Daniel, he is going to call the kid Danny just for the fun of watching him fuss about the proper names, huffs. "All right then, nice to meet you, I guess?" Jason nods, not sure how to proceed. The pits are quiet now, and without the simmering anger under his skin, he feels slightly awkward in this situation. Should he just leave since he's already got what he came for, or... Are you sure that the undead blood in your veins has nothing to do with this visit? The what? Lazarus waters? The kid clarifies. Jason must have asked the question out loud. "No, what did you call it?" "The undead blood," Danny repeats the strange name and looks back at Jason. His eyes are slightly glowing again, and they have no whites in them, just black voids inside his eye sockets with a vertical slit of a pupil. Green, just like the pits. "Do you wish to not have it anymore?" Danny, no. Jason's not really sure he can call this Danny. The kid sitting on the side of the bed still looks like a human, but Jason feels his skin crawl and his breath freeze in his throat, and the kid, the creature in front of the kid, in the form of a kid, tilts their head just slightly. "I can do it. The rage you're feeling will be no more." Jason doesn't understand a word they are saying. He only sees the unblinking eyes filled with the darkness of the deepest pits of hell, and his body is frozen solid as he hears the distant sound of moving glaciers. Or maybe this is just a weird illusion and it's his heart pounding in his ears. He needs to answer. He doesn't even know the question, but he has to answer, for they're waiting for a response. It takes a huge effort to swallow the knot in his throat. "Okay," he manages to whisper through the tangled mess of his thoughts, trying to find a way to ask for any kind of clarification. But the shadows in the being's eyes grow and spill out like ink on paper, filling the room with darkness and inaudible whispers. And Jason has never been thrown out in space, but maybe that's what it would have felt like. Frozen and unable to see or move, unable to breathe, his lungs and his whole body burning. He can't think of anything, and his blood is boiling. At least, it feels like it. And it hurts. More than anything he had felt before. More than dying. More than coming back alive. And Jason wakes up with a scream. He is in his bed, in his room, in one of the safe houses. The one he won't admit to liking more than others. The sunlight creeps through the closed curtains. Jason closes his eyes and takes in a deep breath. A nightmare then. Not the first time he's had them, and definitely not the last. He can't even remember what it was about, just bits and pieces about some kind of cosmic horrors and a distant voice whispering, "The price will be named later." Whatever that could have meant. He rubs his eyes and groans. Last night on patrol must have been pretty boring if he decided to actually sleep for more than 2 hours in a row for once. That would explain why he feels so refreshed, and even after a nightmare. The first thing that cues Alfred into the wrongness of the situation is, unsurprisingly, the food preferences. He knows the inhabitants of the manor, their guests, and acquaintances like the back of his hand. He knows what they do and don't like, knows their food allergies and habits, knows what time they wake up and when they suddenly have all kinds of weird cravings at night. But when he looks at young Master Danny, he knows nothing. He is positively sure that they have accepted the boy into the fray, yet he can't help but question how and when exactly did that happen. Not to mention the fact that Master Danny seems unsure of that too. It could be mind control, or an alteration to the time stream caused by Master Bruce's time traveling, or maybe a very elaborate prank performed by some magician. The possibilities are endless, so Alfred decides to observe the situation first. Of course, he would not hesitate to act if the boy decides to somehow harm his family. There is a reason Alfred keeps weapons around the house in places where the kids have not yet found them. But as long as no malicious intentions come from the boy, he will stay as a simple bystander. With this decision in mind, Alfred spends almost a month keeping an eye on Master Danny. What he found, he did not like. The boy did not have particular food preferences aside from not liking toast. He wasn't a vegetarian or a vegan like Master Damian, but he felt slightly uneasy when eating meat, especially if Alfred prepared it without butchering it first. The roasted duck earned him a slightly bent fork, albeit the boy tried fixing it before anyone noticed. He also did not have a lot of experiences with entertainment. Alfred noticed him watching a few movies with the attention of a person who's never seen them before. He didn't pay much attention to his injuries, be they big or small, which was a common trait among vigilantes, but the boy insisted he did not want to become one. He had not tried to decorate his room, and he expressed uncertainty upon having to buy new clothes. What did that tell Alfred? Daniel Al Ghul was fully aware of the fact that he did not belong in the family. More than that, he was afraid to settle in, fearing he will be immediately thrown out if the bats would become aware of that same fact. Despite that, he enjoyed spending time with them and was always ready to help if anyone asked. Not once he tried to harm anyone around him on purpose, gain any kind of information, or steal anything. Instead, he went out of his way to not be included in the downstairs business, only participating in discussions when it would have broken his character to not do so. Aside from all that, Alfred has discovered that he really was Master Damian's brother, although he was not sure about the twin part. Two boys looked very much alike, but there was always something a little to the left about Master Danny, like his appearance was nothing more than a mask he put on. Yet Master Damian was fully aware of that fact, and in addition, he was also aware of whatever caused the Wayne family to believe Master Danny was one of them this whole time. So today, when Master Damian went down to grab the dog treats for Titus, Alfred, who's been cooking dinner at the same time, decided to ask, "Young Master Damian, if I may ask, will we have an explanation to the newest addition to the family anytime soon?" The boy didn't even flinch, but neither did he try to avoid or deflect the question. Instead, he put the dog treats in his pocket and clicked his tongue. "The fool would not agree to it, and I will not be the one to betray his trust and break the promise. Not if I lose him again." Young Master explains and turns to walk out of the kitchen. Alfred nods, understanding a little more about the sibling situation. "You might want to know that Master Tim and Master Barbara are already working on the case." He can't help but notice, and that causes Master Damian to pause in his steps. "Thank you, Pennyworth," he says finally before leaving the kitchen. "You understand you cannot keep doing this." This is not a question, but a simple statement. Damian looks at his fool of a brother with a calm, almost bored stare. Daniel fidgets with the seam of his shirt, looking everywhere but at him. "I know that," comes a quiet answer, and Damian barely holds himself to yet another attempt to tackle the stubborn boy. Knowing doesn't necessarily mean he will do something about it, of course. Even if his brother is a lot more human than he should be, he still words his sentences like a fae would. "When are you planning on telling them?" Damian has learned to speak with his brother years ago. He knows how to make him answer. Daniel shoots him a glare, but doesn't try to avoid the question. That's good enough. "Later." When is later? Damian wants to ask. No matter how good the fae magic is, they are living among a family of detectives. It was only a matter of time when they started noticing things. Pennyworth knows. Drake and Gordon have their suspicions, most likely. Thomas has been looking weirdly thoughtful at Daniel for the last week. Kane probably figured it out. Damian is not sure about Grayson, Todd, Brown, and Father himself, but the latter one is definitely doing some research without telling anyone. Damian briefly scrunches his nose and clicks his tongue. "Promise me you will not run away like you did last time," he demands, looking straight into Daniel's eyes. He doesn't care if they are not human or that they are black. When they were younger, Daniel's eyes held all the stars of the night sky. Damian is a little worried for what had happened to his brother that caused the infinite void of stars and galaxies to change into a black hole. Daniel doesn't answer. Damian purses his lips. "Promise me, Daniel Al Ghul." "Are you trying to use my name against me?" The boy grins at him. Sure, the pointy teeth look scary, but Damian grew up by his side. He can see the glimpse of hidden fear behind the facade of a dangerous, unearthly being. "It is not your name, and we both know it." He dismisses the lousy threat and steps closer to his brother, who is sitting on his own bed with his legs crossed. "I am not asking this of the King of Undead Court, or the Titan's Bane. I am asking Daniel Al Ghul, my brother, by the right of our souls, to not abandon me like he once did years ago." The boy, the omnipotent and all-powerful creature that could very well end his existence by simply snapping his fingers, has the audacity to look stricken. Did he forget about it? Did he not even think about Damian after he left? "Am I still your brother?" "Ah, so that's what the problem is." Who would have guessed living with mortals could absolutely destroy even a fae's self-esteem? Damian scoffs and raises his chin. If there is one thing Father has taught me, then it is that family does not equal blood relations. You were my brother before, and you are now. Daniel looks at him, unblinking for a few long moments, before his eyes slowly but steadily fill with little sparkles. Something reminiscent of a galaxy is born deep inside the void inside his eye sockets. Okay.